So my name is Koen van Biggelaar, and I represent the team of AWS Solutions Architects. And what we do is we help companies to innovate. We help companies to do digital transformation. And that's what we've been doing for quite some time. And one of the examples is OSDU, and I'm going to show you how we've built OSDU together with Shell in the Open Group, and also I'll show you a demo video. And I think there's one key takeaway, which is the demo and the release 1 is a real thing. And if you're interested, free to join, and you can actually play around with the demo yourself. So before we dive into the technology of OSDU, I'd like to take one step back and look at the way we as AWS actually innovate. Because yes, we are a digital company, but at the same time, we are actually much more a customer-obsessed company, which basically means we look at what do customers need and how can we implement it. So back to what Arne was showing this morning in terms of the why and the how, we are very much in the how space. How can you accelerate? How can you do things? And what we really believe, and Amazon and AWS, is to use mechanisms for that. So there's always good intentions, and good intentions are really a good way to start things, but in the end, a mechanism helps you to get things done in a sustainable way. And the mechanism that we use is the working backwards process. And what we mean by the working backwards process is we start with the customer in mind, and we work backwards from that storyline. And the way we do that is we start with a press release. So what is a press release? A press release is literally what it is. It's a press release. You write a press release. It's dated in the future, like 6, 9, 12 months from now, and it's describing the actual business value of the project that you'd like to start. And in order to do a press release, there's 5 key questions that you need to answer. Number 1, who is your customer? That may not be as easy as you initially think. And number 2, what's the actual customer problem that you're trying to solve? What is the problem from a customer perspective that you're trying to solve? Number 3 is, what's the single key benefit that you are going to provide with your project? And actually number 4, how do you actually know what your customer needs? How do you know? Did you talk to your customer? Did you do a market research? Anything else? And the last one is, so once launched, how is your customer going to consume the service? How do they get support? How do they need to pay for it, etc.? That's what we do initially with a press release. And it comes with a bunch of other artifacts, including an FAQ and some visuals. And the reason I'm showing this is, number 1 is because we believe this is a sustainable way to do innovation. But number 2 is, this is how we started the whole OSDU journey. So we've been working with Shell for quite some time. And actually, I still remember Johan pinging me on Sunday morning, 5 a.m. Like, hey, Koen, we need to discuss about a new opportunity. And what I'd like to do, I really like to make sure that we build this in a way that you typically build your services, in terms of scalability, in terms of security, in terms of operational excellence. So I think a lot of that is history, but just one thing to point out from this slide, so which is that the original discussion with the geoscientists at Shell was, hey, we spent a lot of time, and some mentioned even up to 70%, on searching for the data. And so we've worked on a data platform, and one of the outcomes was that Shell migrated the deep learning research program to AWS, and they achieved like a 3x improvement with that. And then if you think about data platforms, so data platforms is not restricted to the oil and gas industry. And typically, if you make it really simple with data platforms, there's 4 different layers to be addressed. And if we start from the bottom, so the collect, so there's different data to be collected from on-prem, seismic volumes on tape. You've got some ships, and there's multiple domains where you need to collect the data. And in all of these 4 domains, that's actually AWS services, because we've been working with customers, we've been writing press release on all of these items, and we've created services. So as an example, on the collect piece, so we have services, we call it devices, Snowball Edge devices, and you can take them on your ship, collect the data, do some pre-processing, send it to AWS, and then do your post-processing analytics afterwards in the cloud. And the same happens on the next layers. So in storage, We have the object store in AWS. And actually the interesting thing is, if you just think about it, like storage of objects, that's quite a simple thing to do, right? But then it becomes at scale. It needs to be reliable. And also we have additional features in terms of allowing you to do automatic moving of your data from hot to cold, which can be pretty interesting if you want to reduce your cost. So the way we build OSDU on AWS is actually in the same way we would build an AWS service. And just 2 key points to point out here. Number 1 is we have been using AWS serverless services, which helps you to do cost optimization, which really helps you to reduce down your operational overhead. So basically, the way we typically phrase it, we do the heavy lifting, you focus on your differentiating part. And the second thing is, we have been using what we call the well-architected framework, so focusing on operations, focusing on security, reliability, cost, and security. And we've also had a really extensive internal AppSec review. And I had to apologize to Johan 10 times because we had some delays, because we had the internal teams who had to do our reviews. And then if we take a step back, so Johan was discussing about OSDU in terms of APIs, in terms of standards, in terms of data models, etc. And what we believe as AWS, we are fully supported on terms of OSDU and its evolution. And also what we believe is that it needs to be integrated in terms of AI ML services. So it should be really easy for application developers to actually initiate a new application, connect a new application to OSDU and provide value. And that's where the last point on this slide comes in, like the partner ecosystem. So we are really thinking about the partner ecosystem, and this is where I'd like to invite everybody of you, because we believe in the partner ecosystem. It should be possible you develop an application once, you can deploy it many, many times. And we are working on a marketplace, so a marketplace will allow you to host your application and to make it available private, meaning within your own company, or public, meaning to the rest of the community. And we're here to help out in terms of platform credits, in terms of helping out to architect your application, helping out in terms of certifications. And if you're an operator or an ISV and you'd like to have OSDU installed in your own environment, so what we've done, we've worked with our partner, 47 Lining, to develop what we call a learning lab. And what is a learning lab? A learning lab is a packaged engagement where we come to you, we install OSDU completely in your own environment. You can load your own data. We'll work with your use cases and your workflow. And the learning lab is typically 4 to 6 weeks engagement. 4 to 6 week engagement, sorry. So now coming back to the demo. So we have the OSDU platform over here on orange in the middle. And what we need is 2 things. Number 1 is we need the data. So we have a public data set from the Netherlands, which contains the wells, well logs. And we have the application side. So with the OSDU forum, we have been working with INT, well logs, Shell, and CGG to develop a couple of demo applications. And what I'd like to do actually is to show you the video. And one thing to keep in mind, if you look at the video, so all of these applications are interacting with OSDU, interacting with the same APIs, interacting with the same data. So back to the point that Johan was making is, OSDU is a system of record and all of the applications can interact with it. And the other interesting point about the application, after building OSDU and after launching OSDU, it actually took a very short amount of time to develop these applications. So we have one NLP application, and it took the Shell engineer roughly a week just to develop the application. Actually, it was less than a week. So it gives you the idea of the speed of change and the innovation that OSDU can enable. Is it possible to play the video? So what you see over here is the demo. So the demo starts with a portal, and the portal shows you 5 applications which are integrated. Number 1 is the console, and the console you can use to do your own searches. So you can search for what are all my wells in the current OSDU. So that's what's happening here is results are paginated. So you get 10 results. If you want to get 5,000 results, that's another API call. And then also you can use the console to do other things. INT, That's the first application that has been integrated. And you see over here the data set, all close to my home actually. And what happens is, over here you can select data sets, you can visualize the data sets, you can do your consolidation of the different wells. That's what you see over here. And again, all of what you see over here is retrieving the data from OSDU and doing the analysis in the INT application. And what happened actually, so the API calls they're making, just to be clear, all is authenticated, so it's all security is number one. Call the API calls, retrieve the data. Over here, we're doing trajectory data in 3D that you put in a nice view. So in total, the data set is relatively small. It contains 5,000, it's 5,000 wells. Yeah, it's 5,000 wells. And we've also loaded quite a number of PDF files. And over here, you see the demo in terms of asking in plain English a couple of questions in terms of locations, and you get the answer immediately. The other thing is, I just mentioned the integration with machine learning. And this is what CGG did. So you can select your data set. You can retrieve your data set in Juniper Notebook. What happens over here, like a k-means view, and you can visualize the results over here. This is a pretty interesting one. And they build this application literally in a couple of days as well. What's happening is you retrieve the data, do the machine learning, and you visualize the results. Second application is Well Logs Data. Really interesting small company that integrated with OSDU. They can select data, you can deselect or select different layers that you want to see. And actually this is really close to my home, by the way. I'm living in the northern part of the Netherlands, so. And what happens is, so they can do all the polygons over here for selecting data, viewing different layers, and moving on. There's 5 applications were integrated here. So over here, they're just playing around with the application itself. We created the video a couple of weeks back. This actually is partly a public video available on YouTube. And if you get a demo account, you can play around with OSDU and play around with this application. But also, if you're interested, develop your own application on top of the APIs. Yeah, over here the different layers again. In Oosterhout, close in the Netherlands. There's over here the contours over here, and this is the end of the video. So with that, I'd like to invite you, if you're interested, join the OSDU forum. Feel free to connect with us if you want to connect with the demo. We're moving on. As AWS, we're committed to OSDU. I want to thank you.